Hey everyone, Ashley May and Mike Beer here with the Daily Racing Form. We're going to take a look at race number 6 this Saturday out at Santa Anita Park. It's the Grade 3 Megahertz, a mile on the grass here for fillies and mares of 4-year-olds and upward. And I think kind of looking at the stakes races, the two that stuck out, obviously, this one and the Thunder Road, very competitive fields. And this one, I think there are maybe 4 or 5 fillies or mares here that can win it.
Yeah, the turf races both came up pretty competitive here. We'll see how this one plays out. I do think there are cases to be made for a lot of these fillies or mares. We'll see. They got the morning line favorite there, the three Sareeha. I mean, really, really good form. Your call if you want to take 2-1 on her moving up in class.
Yeah, big move up in class. She has yet to try stakes competition in her career. You have the 4 Rashmi, also in good recent form, and a couple of others, including Liguria and the inside off a lengthy layoff, and the 6 Mahina. Now we're talking about a mile turf race here. We'll take a look at what time form says here about the pace projections. And we mentioned the name Rashmi. She could be forward from the gate. And then the outside runners, a little interesting. The 7 Macho girl, Mike, tried the turf for the first time last time out. I know she was on the lead, but they did go pretty slow.
Yeah, just blew a clear stretch lead there, but did run a relatively competitive race there first time. I thought there was a lot of enough pace in this race to make it a little bit interesting to see how this thing shakes out into the first turn. Anyway, certainly the 4 could make the lead, but she just seems so versatile to me. Actually, they're not going to get aggressive with her if this pace is fast.
And if the pace is fast, look out for the 1 Liguria, who does have the LP, the late pace flag, attached to her chiclet. And speaking of Liguria, she'll kick things off here as we go through the field. Amira is a 3-time winner in her career, Mike, but the big question is, what can she do off this very lengthy layoff for the new barn?
It's not ideal to come back off a layoff this long. Let's just say that she missed her entire 4-year-old campaign. Obviously, she was in the Chad Brown barn to begin, but listen, she ran some really, really good races against some good horses as a 3-year-old, all in stakes competition. She's pretty good, actually. If she's ready off this layoff, and that's a hard thing to predict when they've been away this long, but if she's ready, she could easily beat these horses.
And looking at her workouts, it looks like she has 8 workouts in preparation for her return to the races. It looks like they might have tried to start her up in the spring of 2024, and then she went back to the sidelines. The number 2, Big Hug. She's a big price here on the morning line at 12-1. Now, she was third last time out in the La Canada. She was trying graded stakes competition for the first time, and obviously wasn't respected there. She finished third, though, behind very, very nice horses such as Cavalieri and Alphabella. But now she has to try turf for the first time. Again, it feels like another huge task is being thrown her way.
Yeah, and also, of course, I guess you could bring speed into this field too. We'll see how they decide to ride her. I don't know. She's not my kind of horse. Her dirt form doesn't make her good enough, and I'm just not expecting her to be that much better on the grass.
Now, you mentioned the morning line favorite is the 3 Sareeha. We'll take a look at one of her most recent performances, which she has a little bit of a win streak going, winning her last 2, one at Del Mar, and then this race at Santa Anita. And in terms of trip, she was mid-pack here, and it's kind of what we've seen in her last few races, but she just puts on a show here. And at least, if anything, she has a short price, but she at least deserves that chance after this performance, don't you think, Mike, against the stakes
Yeah,
competition?
yeah. Not surprised they're gonna jump her up in class here just to see what they got on their hands because her last 2 races are really good. Listen, she was claimed for 25,000 about 3 months ago, but Mark Latt's gotten her really good. Actually, he took the blinkers off for both of those races,
Mhm.
and it made a difference because she was a little bit of a speed kind of a horse before that. But with the blinkers off, she rated very kindly in both of those races, and she just blasted that field in the race that we just watched. Again, she's way up in class for this. Pratt is not here to ride her this time. She's 2-1 on the morning line. I mean, I respect her, and I think her last 2 races are good. I would never take that price on her against this field.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough price for sure, and obviously she's taken it a step forward in her numbers. Her last 2 are career best efforts from her in terms of those buyer speed figures in 84 and an 86. But you bring up a great point. I mean, 2-1's a tough sell. I think if you're looking at 5, 6-1, she's a great price against these fillies and mares. The number 4, Rashmi, she disappointed a little bit last time out, but I don't know how disappointing it was. It was a mile and a quarter. She was towards the back of the pack. It was just a complete change of tactics from her. But we'll take a look at her race 2 back, Mike, where she's much the best. She picks up her 3rd career victory, and I actually don't mind how they've handled her. Jonathan Thomas has let her go through her conditions. That was a never won 3, and then they tried her against stakes, and I don't think she embarrassed herself.
Yeah, I liked all that stuff about her too. I mean, this is the easiest kind of win here. They kind of let her get loose on the lead, and she just never gave that field a chance. She really finished that race off. But I like that about her. I like that they could go to the lead, actually, if they wanted to. Her two wins prior to that were both sitting just off the pace and really good trips. She rates if you want her to rate. And I'm just of the opinion that in the American Oaks last time, I understand why they moved her up and why they stretched her out. She had no chance in there. From post 11, Rosario made the decision that he wasn't going to try to go forward with her from the outside. He grabbed her, he dragged her back to last in that race, and she was still last at the top of the stretch in there. She actually ran in that race, and I thought it was an underrated performance.
Absolutely. She finished fourth there. She only missed by 6 lengths, and she got a nice figure as well. So she's intriguing. She's going to cut back, as we talked about, to the mile distance. The number 5, Omaha Girl. We'll take a look at her most recent effort, which was in the Bobby Frankel race, the grade 3. Now, Mahina ends up being second here, who she's going to have to face again. And Omaha Girl found herself on the lead. The only other time that she had been on the lead was on the dirt a while back in her career down at Gulfstream Park. And from a pace perspective, once again, she may be involved early in this event on Saturday.
Yeah, it feels like maybe they'll just go forward with her again because she actually runs fine in there, even though she wasn't good enough to take that field wire to wire. Worth noting too that that was 9 furlongs. She gets to cut back to a mile here. That could certainly help her chances. I don't love the Frankel as a race overall. I'm not going to knock this filly's performance in there. She did the best she could do at a price, and she'll be a price once again. But this is another tough spot.
The 6 Mahina we saw was the runner-up. She was flying late there at the mile and an eighth distance. She ended up missing by a nose. Now, that rival that beat her 2 starts back, obviously not in this race on Saturday, Mike, but I think you either probably feel one of two ways. You don't like her at the mile, or you go back to that race 3 back and you think, well, she could be dangerous at a mile distance.
Yeah, I don't mind her cutting back to the mile at all. I actually think it's a good distance for her, especially if you get a little pace for her to come after. Because most of her races, and she's been good at a mile throughout her career, and most of those are sitting back and just making one run, which that could really work in here if this pace develops for. Listen, she's also out of the Frankel. It's not a race that I like. We just showed the replay there. The whole field, all 6 of them were within about a length of each other at the wire. The 3 to 5 favorite finished last in that race. I don't know. She got a perfect trip in there and just wasn't good enough to get the job done. There are things that I like about her, Ashley. There are also things I don't like about her, and I just kind of want to wait and see what kind of price she is.
And then rounding out the field is the 7 Mucho Macho Girl, who we talked about. She tried the turf for the first time last time out. 2 starts back, it was a race that was carted for the grass, moved to the main track, and she didn't take a lot of 11 there. She runs a good second to a horse by the name of Lakota Spirit, who's respectable, but you look at that race at the fairgrounds, I don't mind the turf effort on paper, Mike, but I really don't like the fractions. And now she has to step up in class.
Yeah, stepping up off the clean. I mean, this is a really, really good trainer, and he's got some confidence in her, I guess, to step her up. So that intrigues me, just because Leonard Powell really knows what he's doing. I didn't like the turf race enough, and that was first time. All of her first 10 starts were all sprints. So the first time they stretch out, sometimes you'll get a really good one out of them, and then it seems like maybe if they don't really want to go that far, you'll get regression. I'm expecting her to regress here.
And it'll be interesting to see what she can do. She was claimed for 50,000 in that most recent start. We'll take a look at our top picks here for the grade 3 Megahertz. And okay, we have all the same horses, but a different order. And I do think in terms of the horse to beat, you have this horse on top. The 4 Rashmi just looks really good, especially now cutting back in distance off of what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if that 3 moving up in class really is the favorite come post time. She's the morning line favorite. We'll see how they bet it. I mean, if she is, I'm happy to bet against her. And I really like the 4 in this race. I think this is a great spot for her. I think she's underrated. And if she's not the favorite or not too short a price, I'm betting her in here.
And that's sort of where I struggle. I think she could go off favored over the 3 in here. And it's what sort of price do you want to take on her? And I think for me, the mare that's going to offer value is the 6 Mahina, who we talked about. Either love her cutting back or you don't. You like her cutting back. I love her cutting back. You talked about her record. She's very accomplished at a mile. I loved the race 3 back. And, kind of looking at her Santa Anita races, they've been some of her best. And that race 2 back, I'm going to throw a line, just draw a line, I should say, through at mile and 3/8 at Del Mar. I think she could be dangerous in here at a good price. But an interesting addition here of the grade 3 Megahertz, 4136 for Mike. Same horses, different order for me, 6431. Good luck.